Welcome back to Podcast Recovery, everyone. We are your hosts, David O.
And Eric V.
Today we are joined by a very special guest, Bobby C. How are you doing, Bobby?
Doing great. Yep. That's David O, Eric V, and this is Bobby C.
Nice.
I like the little rhyme there. Yeah.
That was good. So, where are you from, Bobby?
I grew up in New Jersey, Audubon, New Jersey.
Nice.
It's right over the bridge from Philadelphia, so you're getting a Philadelphia accent.
Yeah. I was catching that a little bit. Once you said Huntington, California, and I was like, oh, he doesn't sound California.
Yeah, he's fake California.
So when were you first introduced to recovery?
My anniversary date is February 27th, 1984. So I was 34.
So that's 36 years clean?
36 years clean and sober.
That's amazing. Well, all right, man. Well, with all that out of the way, we're going to turn it over to you to share your story with us. So take it away.
Okay, like I said, my name is Bobby C, and I like to use the slogan "Bobby C, a friend in recovery," because that's what I am. I'm a friend. I'm a friend to anybody. Doesn't matter if you're in recovery, but I like to use that little thing. You know what? I've been taking a lot of time preparing for this, in a sense that since it's so long, 36 years, I have to go back, and sometimes it's hard. So I go back into like when it first started, and it gets me deep into my it's almost like I'm doing a 4-step again. When I dig deep, because it started like 10 or 11 years old. I mean it's really it gets like it's crazy. I mean, I started smoking cigarettes when I was like in 10th grade, not 10th grade, 10 years old, because I used to tap them out of my dad's. I can remember these things like it was yesterday almost. Tap them out of my dad's Lucky Strikes, pull a Lucky out, and then bring it like it was gold, hold on to it until I met somebody, a friend or something. Maybe I was in a fort, because we used to dig forts, and make forts under the ground and stuff, We used to find like a door and put the door for the top and to go under. And we found matches. You had to have matches to light the smoke up. So, of course, I remember smoking a cigarette at like 10 years old. Kind of like, because I got grandkids now that are 8. And I'm looking at them, I'm saying, damn, if he's going to do some of the shit possibly that I'm going to be doing, at 10 years old, 11 years old. But that was the start of it. I didn't start drinking then. But I moved out of one town, a little town, and moved to another town. It was like 2 towns over, from this one town to 2 towns over. And that's when it started. I was in 5th grade, 5th, 6th. It all started with, we used to steal a little bit of like whiskey out of the cabinet, the liquor cabinet, put them in a jar, and then maybe two other guys used to do it. And we used to meet down this place called the Indent. It was down the tracks, because I lived like right next to the tracks, railroad tracks. And we go down there, and it was like an indent where we used to go in and hide and smoke our cigarettes. And I remember holding my nose and drinking this whiskey. And of course, I got sick. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I got sick a lot of times. Over and over and over and over did I get sick. I don't even know. When they say you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, well, damn, after all those years, because you figure, let's see, my addiction lasted, let's say, 23 years. My addiction lasted. So it was like that as a young kid. I remember even going, we used to have, when I moved, I made a lot of friends. And in this town, there was so many young guys my age. It was crazy. And everybody, when you hook up like in a new town, this one guy, his name was Vince. And he used to name everybody. right?
Mm.
So he gave me this name, Such, and that was my nickname for my whole life. There's people still today that don't even know my name. They call me Such. But when I came into recovery, the first day, everybody was, they coined a name. You'd have Bricklayer Al, you'd have Nick N, you had all the anonymity names. So I coined myself Bobby C. So ever since I came 36 years ago, I lost Such and became Bobby C.
Nice.
And, but that was 23 years of that shit, and it just kept on going. You guys cut in anytime you want. Anytime you want.
Will do.
You want me
Yeah,
to
man.
Yeah, okay. I'll just continue and talk about.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, and it was like it just went on. Like I'm going through the years, like 6th and 7th grade. 13 years old. And then like breaking into garages, stealing some Dago Red out of there, drinking wine, and guess what? Still getting sick. I don't know why. I always got sick. I'm going to say I always threw up. I threw up a lot from the booze until I started to not drink like wine and I guess goofy stuff. I started drinking beer because we found this one guy. This one guy was the older guy in town, and this old guy, Mickey, he could get us some booze. And back then we used to drink quarts of beer, and if they come in a case. So Mickey would deliver a case of quarts into his garage, into his dad's garage, and we paid him, of course, and we gave him a little bit, And we used to go in the garage. We all meet there, and I get my quart and I drink my beer, and that was it. Once I started with beer, I loved it. It gave me a buzz.
What was your first beer? Do you remember?
That was it. Yeah, that was it in Mickey's garage. I was about 13, maybe 12.
Do you remember what brand of beer it was?
Yeah, it was. They don't make it, I don't think, anymore. It was Keglet. It was called Keglet.
I've never even heard of that.
No, you're not going to hear. You heard of Milwaukee? Old Milwaukee?
Ooh. Like Milwaukee's best?
Yeah, I know Old Milwaukee.
Okay, well, it was like a step down. Keglet was like a step down from there. It was probably the cheapest quart you could buy, I guess. Who knows? Mickey wanted to make some money. He didn't want to get the good stuff, so he got Keglet.
No, of course not.
Yeah. And it just went on, ages. It just moved on from 7th, 8th grade. It just got worse. 14. I even delved in. I got into the sniffing glue, which how in the hell I got involved with that shit, I don't know. But I started doing that. Anything to escape and get out of reality and get into some fantasy. And I did that for a while, and then I, of course, in 9th grade, that's when I met my wife. Okay, then everything changed. I remember walking down the street with my girlfriend then, which is my wife, and we're walking down, and my buddies came up. Come on, Such, get in. Let's go. We're going around the lake. And I said, nah. They went around the lake, see how fast they can go around a lake, and it wasn't pretty. Hit a tree, and one of my buddies died. Went through the window.
God.
Oh my God.
But that stuff was like happened. That's like in 9th grade, and then 10th grade it just got worse. Then 11th grade, 18, it wasn't good. I graduated when I was in 12th. It was about 19. And I could just tell you stories and stories and stories and stories, but I want to get into the recovery part. I don't want to spend too much time on this story because, people say, oh, there was a lot of good stuff in their drinking and drugging. For me, when I really look at it, it's hard for me to find really some good shit. I tell you, I don't know why, but I see a lot of bad. I could just go through it and see a lot of bad stuff, and it served a purpose, and the purpose was for me to escape reality, to me to get out of responsibility, to me to whatever. All I know is I was addicted, I was addicted on this stuff, I might have chose to drink it, but I'll tell you what, I didn't choose to become addicted to it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then I got married, 21 years old. Moved into my first house at 22. My mom lent me $1,000. That wasn't pretty. My first child, 1974. I was 23 years old. Stuff like that. I wasn't capable of being there for my own child's birth. I was in a bar. My wife was due. I didn't know what time she was due, but I was too busy in the bar. And I get a call, and then I had to go there. I had to go to the hospital. And, I was like hungover, crazy hungover. Shit like that. Moved to Audubon, bought this old house. Couldn't even afford the money for the oil to put in half the time because I was too busy having fun, having parties. You look back in this stuff and you see how I neglected, my family and myself. It really helps you to dig in and see what it did to you,
Yeah.
And then when I moved from Audubon, I moved to Stratford, and that's when I got my big job with the county. I got a job with the county working in a psychiatric hospital with the security systems, and it was pretty big for the county, and it was a real good job. So I started there, but I just used during work. It just gave me an opportunity, a better opportunity to use and drink and drug and, smoke dope. And, during all that time, that's when I, started to do some, even back then, I started to do some meth. I did catering. I used to do a lot of catering jobs. So I'd go out to catering jobs. I work my county job and then go on a catering job so I could make enough money to use that for my booze and stuff. I'd give my wife the check and then use my money to go out and be able to do the things I got to do. And, I'd be doing some meth, doing some lines to keep me up because catering was a lot of hours. And, but then when I moved to Stratford, I had my second child, the jobs came, the 2 jobs. How much time can I be at home? Working 2 jobs. And then time, I was like a weekend binger. If I take a drink, I took a drink, the drink took me, and then I didn't know where I was going to be. So it was like I was lost. It was like a lost weekend, right? I was away I was missing in action, and the crap that happened in that time just got bad, passing out, just turning corners after clubbing all night, drinking and smoking some dope and just passing out, hitting trees and, stupid shit like walking out of cars, just stepping out of a car while it's running, while it's moving and hitting my head and smashing my head and coming home and not going to the hospital until the next day and getting stitches and stupid crap, And you look at it and being
and your wife stuck by you through all this?
Yeah. Is that crazy?
She must be an angel.
That's what everybody says. Everybody says, how in the hell did she do it? There must have been so much good because I was a good provider. I could sit here and not justify anything, but I could tell you all good things about me too. But that's not what I'm here to say. I'm not here to talk about the good things in back then. But she to stick by me, she either had to been crazy or an angel. Okay? And you know what? I hate to say it, that sometimes they get crazy because we make them crazy. Okay?
Yeah.
Or they're crazy from their childhood, from maybe the alcohol that they were used to, So she stuck by me. She stuck by me. She stayed with me. Let's see, we'll be celebrating this October 49 years married.
Wow.
So yeah, but it kept on getting worse. I mean, I could go on with the war stories, but we're not here to talk about that. I remember working I used to work in a psychiatric hospital, and the patients, they used to call me crazy. They used to say, "Bobby, you're crazy." I say, "Yeah, okay." I remember I used to open the door. I had to open the door for the guys that used to have Alcoholics Anonymous meetings down the hall, and that's when I probably started a little bit checking something out, because I went in there and stole the big book.
Yeah,
I remember I stole
the big book.
Oh yeah, I stole the big book. I had to steal a big book.
Oh, that's spiritual.
Oh hell, I stole a lot of shit. Stealing a lion's part of the whole thing, man. You know.
I hear you.
And so I stole my first big book, and I didn't go to AA for a while after that. But I had a big book. You believe that?
Mm-hmm.
And the weird part about it is, you know, let's see. Okay, from there, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that there. You have any questions about that? I'm going to leave that there, and then go in to the rest of it.
Yeah.
You have any questions?
Yeah, we'll get to the questions a little bit later. I want to hear the rest of your story, man.
Okay. So now I come in. Now, how do I come in? Right.
Mm-hmm.
The coming in part is this sick and tired of being sick and tired, but that's not it. It's the sick and tired of being, how do you demoralized?
Yeah.
You know, constantly apologizing and promising and seeing over and over. You know, I knew I was an alcoholic. I could tell. I used to tell my friends, I'm an alcoholic. They say, but you're not an alcoholic. I drink more than you. I said, yeah, right. That's why I hang with people like yourself. Okay. So
yeah.
But my wife started to go to Al-Anon.
Okay.
Them Al-Anons, man, they could be mean, you know.
Oh yeah.
I'm not kidding. But Al-Anon, she started to go to Al-Anon, and you know what? My wife left me a few times. You know, you say she was an angel, but she wasn't. You know, a lot of times she came to she came to be sane, and she left me a couple times. But I always did what I had to do, and I always got her back. I always promised, you know, made all these promises. And she left me a few times, but this time when she went to Al-Anon, these Al-Anon people put something into her brain. I don't know. They were giving her something, you know, because I could tell she was getting confident. She was getting some. She was learning stuff to let me go, detach, all this other stuff. How she met this friend. She met this friend named Dolly, who was going to Al-Anon and became her friend. Now Dolly had 2 girls. I had 2 girls, you know, 2 daughters. And so Dolly and Jane got to be buddies, you know. And Dolly, it happens that Dolly's husband, his name is Lonnie. His name was Lonnie. And she said, you know what? Because I knew, I was fearful, because I knew she was ready to leave me for the last time. I knew it. I could taste it. You know, and I was done. I was tired, because I was going. Let's just say I worked in a psychiatric hospital, but I knew I was going insane too. You know, I was getting paranoid and looking over my shoulder and stuff like that. And if I didn't have a drink, and you know, after my binges, my mind would just take off and race so much that I had to have a drink to slow that down. So at the end, and the throwing up deal and sleeping downstairs or under trailers, you know, it just got too much. And so I knew I was done, and I didn't know it. I knew I was done. I wanted to be done, but I didn't know how to be done. That's for darn sure. So she asked me. She said, "You know what? This guy Lonnie, he's in this Alcoholics Anonymous deal, and he said if you want to, he would come over and talk to you. You know."
Nice.
And here we go. You talk about, you know, they talk about spiritual awakenings at the end of the book. Nah. I had my first spiritual awakening at that moment, because I said yes, why yes, to help. I said yes to help. That was my first spiritual awakening. I didn't know it was. I can look back on it now, but I didn't know that was or was going to be anything. Okay, I said yes. I said, have him come over. He could come over. So he came over one night. She wasn't there. She went out. And here comes, he walks into my door, this big, he sat down. He had told me these things, but here's a big construction dude, big nice beard, good-looking guy. He was a dope shooting, pharmacy robbing, Jack Daniels drinking construction worker who came in my door, sat down. It was like Jesus Christ comes in the door and sits down and wants to give me something, help me. And that's what it kind of, if I look back, you know, I mean, if there was such a thing, if there was such a Jesus, he became a person that said, you know what, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
And he became my friend. And that was the start. I'm still friends with him today, you know. And Lonnie went back a couple of times, but he's got some good clean and sober time now, and we still talk. I go out and visit him, and I've had several sponsors after that, but he was my first friend. And I'll tell you how he saved my help. I'll tell you how he helped save my life, because he didn't save my life. He helped me, because I believe help is a pointer to the way, but it's not the way. Okay, so Lonnie helped me, and I'll tell you how he helped me. And he became my friend, and I was lucky, because if I would have had a big book thumper, if I would have had somebody pressuring me and demanding I do certain things, I don't think I would have stayed in. You know, so he wasn't that type of person, and I'm grateful for that. You know, he was real. It was real easy. We talked about the kids and life, and went to meetings and hung. I joined his home group. He took me to his first meeting. He said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Let's go Sunday." He didn't tell me when to go. I said, "Let's go Sunday." He said, I have a group in Hamilton. So I went down there to my first meeting, and I'll tell you what, we're all down there. I'm shaking. I'm smoking cigarettes. Everybody's the whole basement is smoke all over, and I'm shaking and smoking my Winstons, and they got ashtrays there, and these people.
See, I wish I could have gotten clean during the days of the smoking meetings, because by the time I got clean, there was no more smoking meetings anywhere. Like those things don't exist anymore. But that would have been right in my wheelhouse, if you could just sit there, burn a half a pack down while you're stressing and sweating out all the drugs and alcohol. That would have been my place.
Cool. I know. It was cool. I enjoyed it, man. Hey, well, I don't know what I would have did without them smokes. You know?
Yep.
Definitely. And it was cool. It was, you know, there was all kinds of different people there. There was guys with dress shirts on. There was guys with, little like homeless looking. There was bikers. One of my first friends I met was named Doc. He was one of the old, Hell's Angel guys. Doc, he was in there. He'd bring all his biker stuff in, and he'd start bringing buddies in there. And it was like anything I started, I quit. I wasn't in the Boy Scouts, but then I got to like this stuff. It was like the Boy Scouts. It was like being in the Boy Scouts. You'd make these friends and buddies, and we traveled the psychiatric. Back when I came in, I didn't even know what a rehab was. They didn't even use the word recovery, I don't think, So it was kind of different back then. We used to go to psychiatric hospitals, We didn't go to rehabs. We used to go to psychiatric hospitals and travel, with about 3 or 4 of us, smoking in the car and talking bullshit and having fun. It was cool. It was real cool. And so that was the beginning. What can I say? After that, let's just say I didn't go to my first step meeting for a year. Okay?
Wow.
Stayed sober. Well, Bill and Bob, they didn't even have a big book or no books for, 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And they stayed sober. You know what they used to talk about a lot in my meetings was slogans. I think almost the slogans. The slogans used to save my ass all the time. That stupid little ass Serenity prayer. I could take the word God out of there, and still it works.
Yeah.
But all these slogans, and I used to like to hear the stories, and people, they didn't seem like they forced. I don't know. It just felt different. It wasn't like a forceful thing. And then I finally, here we go. Oh no, I finally went to my first step meeting, but before that, Lonnie took me to the meeting. I went to the meeting at the place I worked, and the one I sold the big book at. And at that meeting, I held the big book up and paid for it.
Nice.
At that particular meeting, I declared I stole it, and I said, "Here, I owe you," And that was kind of like a little reminiscing thing. It really, I could still reflect back on it. Well, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But time just went on. I probably only lasted about 4 years in Jersey until I got a bug up my ass, 4 or 5 years. And in the meantime, I got another sponsor, Bricklayer Ale. I started to do the steps. I did my 4-step with a priest. And I'm just saying these things. I hope I have time to talk about the involvement of the whole thing, because what I'm saying now is not the same as what I am now. Every 5 years, I evolved. I evolved. I changed every 5 years. See, I was lucky in the beginning. I used to go to ACOA meetings, CODA meetings. I used to go to Men's Iron John meetings. I used to do one-on-one therapy, group therapy. I branched out, and my consciousness started to, let's say, the open mind. I started to get an open mind even beyond the AA rooms, And I did my first 5th step. I wrote my 4th step out. Did my 5th step with the priest. Now here's the weird thing. I did the 4th step with the priest. So the priest told me, he said, "Okay, make the big book your Bible, and make your meetings your church." And so that was cool. But you know what? He eventually took his collar off, and he started a place called Starting Point, which was one of the big treatment rehab type situations in that area. And I used to go to a lot of his meetings and stuff like that, but he became real popular, let's just say, a mentor for a lot of people. But Jersey, of course I had a home group. Had to have a home group. Of course I got involved. Lonnie's sponsor was Bill N. And then Bricklayer Ale was Bill N's sponsor. But eventually I got Lonnie kind of, I went out and I got Bricklayer Ale and did some work with him. And he was a therapist. So, I guess maybe I didn't trust a lot of people, so I went to more people that I thought I could trust, I guess. But in the beginning. But from Jersey, I moved out from Jersey because I hated the rain and the clouds. And people might say, I started a big catering business in that 4 years. Well, that maybe probably 5 years. Started a big catering business. I did a lot of cool stuff in sobriety. And started to want to venture out because I didn't like the clouds and the rain. So I said, let's move to Arizona. Because my brother-in-law lived in Arizona, and we went to visit him. I loved it. I fell in love with Arizona. So we moved out there. Where are we at in time?
We're good. We got some time.
Yeah.
So
5, 10 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's just no, and then we'll go into questions.
Okay, because I'm going to have to speed by this. I'm going to go to the bumps. I'm going to just go. I moved to Arizona. I came back, built a house back in New Jersey, and stayed there for 2 years, and then moved back to Arizona. And people are going to say, well, you did a lot of geographic and shit. I did a lot of geographic. But it wasn't running. I was checking stuff out, man. I was high on life. I wanted to experience some things, you know.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I stayed in Arizona for about 14 years,
Nice.
and then I did a lot of different stuff. You know, when I moved to Arizona, I had to get a different spot. So I started a meeting up there in that town, and I started a meeting every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's still going today. You know, years and years and years later. But I had fun. I did a lot of stuff. Went a lot of places. Got involved with a lot of people. But I just kept on evolving my thinking, my beliefs. You know, I have a disclaimer. You know what I'm about to say. I say these are my opinions, my beliefs, my awareness from my experience of my reality over the 36 years of this journey of life. You know.
Yeah.
And through this 36 years, people call it recovery, but, you know, anymore, I just call it life, you know?
Yeah.
I'm in this life thing, and I give a hand to anybody I can. I particularly make my own stuff, you know. I don't have to, let's say, go out and search out alcoholics and drug addicts. I'll help anybody. But, of course, if anybody needs help, I'll be there for them if they need it.
Yeah.
I just kept on growing different things. Matter of fact, 2000, I think it was the year 2000, I went into, matter of fact, it was, the year 2000, right when, what was that called, the Centennial or something? I don't know, when that changed, everybody was afraid of UK.
Y2K?
Yeah. I started getting into holistic studies. So I went to the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and I was starting a program way back then. It's crazy. I got it right in front of me. It's like I designed a curriculum and a program way back then, 2000, about recovery and beyond, teaching how the 12 steps, the holistic philosophy, is like the holistic philosophy of any ancient, any ancient learnings or practice or teachings, you know. But I had a chance to do a lot of stuff. But you know, I always was interested in more of this learning process about myself and about life. So I was always searching. And that's why I keep on using the word evolve. I believe today the young people, it's a whole new generation is going to be different. I can make a prediction years from now, it's going to be so different that the recovery movement in the future is going to be like without labels.
I hope so.
They're going to do without labels. And without labels, you're not going to have to be. There's not going to be no need for anonymity, because you're not going to be calling yourself all these different stigma names. You know, you're going to say, "Hey, I was addicted to booze or drugs. I've recovered from that. I'm not addicted no more. Today, I am in recovery from life, of course, because today I feel I'm in recovery from the lies, or let's just say I'm in the recovery to find the truth about life today, you know. And, you know, I was going to put it to you guys, maybe when you asked the question, I was going to ask maybe one of you guys a question, but I could do it maybe in one of your questions.
I would love that.
You want me to pass that by you now, or?
Yeah, let's kick that off right now.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you something, both of you. Okay. Just imagine, okay, if you can. Now you could probably reflect on this tonight, but imagine 5 years ago. Could you have known what you know now 5 years ago?
No.
Huh? No, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, no, you don't know. Okay. So, let's just say that would have been called the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You didn't know the unknown, but you know it today, and it's called the known, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if I would say, if when you're hearing people talk, you might be hearing the future, even though you're in the now right now. You might be hearing what you're going to know 5 years from now, which is unknown to you now, but 5 years may be known to you again. You kind of follow that?
Yeah.
Well, that's how open people need to be.
Yeah.
Because people think they know what they know, and when they hear somebody, they may shut them down or shut them off, and that may be the unknown to them. But eventually, they're going to know the unknown, and it's going to be called the known. And of course, all we got to do is reflect back in our thinking. I still believe that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And the further I get into this, let's say, consciousness or awareness, the deeper I go, and the more I get, it's almost like it's less complicated. And it almost becomes all the same, And because there's a lot of deep shit, there's deep stuff. But the further I go down the rabbit hole, the more I find out it's the simplicity of it is that like I said, I went to many different things, got a lot of information. I thought, I questioned, I observed, and became aware. And all those things were, the teachers come in many forms. Teachers can come in people, they can come in places, they can come in things, they can come in situations, they come in experiences. The teacher is just a pointer, right? But this is the bottom line, what I've learned, that I feel that I've learned for myself, is that ultimately, the answer is within me.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I am the way. I'm the guru. I'm the Buddha. I would love it to be any other way.
Yeah.
That would be easier. I'm going to probably, how about if we kind of end there with that stuff, because I go off.
No, that's perfect, man. All right, would you like to start, Eric?
That's up to you, David.
Eric, did you fall asleep?
No.
Did you fall asleep while I was talking?
No, I'm here.
He did.
David's the more talkative one. So, I will go first.
Okay.
So, I kind of want to, I guess, touch on, you touched on a lot of different types of spirituality during your share. Actually, one of the, I'm not a religious person. I wasn't brought up that way. So, but one of the things you said where you did your fifth step with a priest, I actually, got through, I did grief counseling with a reverend. And that was probably some of the best grief counseling. Like, it's some of the best counseling I've ever had. So this question, it sounds like you kind of evolved and went like a little bit, because you just ended your share, with Buddha. And you talked a little bit about like kind of a new age, more mindfulness and like self-awareness type of model. So how would you describe, and this is kind of a multi-part question, where did you start your process 36 years ago spiritually? And how have you evolved through the years to reach the point where you are now? And what is that now? How would you define your spirituality?
Okay, I'll just answer that quick question. I don't define it.
Okay.
I don't use labels. I don't really like to use labels. So if I defined it spiritual, then they could put me in a box, and I'm not you can put me in a box. Anybody can put me in a box, but I'm not putting myself in a box, because I got further to go. So I'm not going to be put in a box. So I don't define myself with labels. But I'll tell you what, the evolving part is everybody. See, if you seek, you shall find. So if everybody keeps on seeking, they're going to find wherever they go. But the evolvement started the day I said yes. See, that was the matter of fact. It probably started before when I was born. Because I was born an atheist. Right? I'm born an atheist. My mother gave me her religion, which was Catholicism. I did all the ritual stuff in Catholic churches and stuff like that. But then I evolved from there. Maybe, I had to have God because I was told these things. See, what I found out was that I had to seek them on my own. I had to stop being told what to do, how to think, what to see. Okay? So I had to question things. So I even questioned the big book. I questioned the 12 steps. I questioned a lot of things. I still do question things, okay? So those questionings led me to find truth for myself. It was like slow and gradual. There was pauses during that time. There was going backwards during that time. So it's to answer your question, it's everybody's path is going to be different, but I feel that that's just my take. We'll all get to the same place, And I mean, even in stuff like Napoleon Hill, I even changed his little thing that I love about him. But I write, I ask not for my riches, more riches. I don't ask for more riches, but I ask for more wisdom to make wiser use of the riches I have been given at birth in the form of the power to control and direct my mind to whatever ends I desire. And I fully believe that, So it's up to me. I go where I want to go. And if I keep on searching, does that help you? Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Where I'm at now with the Buddha, let's just say recovery Dharma, refuge recovery. I love them. I think it's the coolest thing. I started a recovery Dharma meeting. Okay, I love the meditation, the self-inquiring, the wisdom, the compassion, the community, and it says right there, our own inner wisdom and our own path. The teaching of the Dharma, the community. I love smart recovery. I'm a smart recovery facilitator.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. So I'm into all this stuff. Life ring is cool. Life ring is cool. Hey, I don't even have a problem with the singular method. Let them be. Let them do. I don't have a problem with the freedom model. I don't have a problem with harm reduction. I don't have a problem with none of this stuff, I have a problem, when I question and try to help people out, is when people are trying to manipulate other people and tell other people what to do, how to think, how to question, and you're going to die if you don't do it this way, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not true. I've proven it to myself. You got to prove it to yourself.
Yeah. And like that actually goes straight into my question. It's like in your answer you were just given to Eric's question, you were talking about questioning the 12 steps, and that, like I love that and everything you just said, like thinking for yourself, finding your own power, your own wisdom. So I mean, maybe not necessarily like in early recovery, like at least for me in early recovery, I had to just sort of do things the way they needed to be done and how I was suggested to do things. So like I needed a little bit of a program. I needed some consistency. But as I've progressed in my recovery, I've started to ask those questions, and I've started to broaden my mind in what is recovery. So my question is, how important is asking those questions of yourself and of recovery programs and recovery communities as a whole?
Okay, people that See, I can go so deep into that it'll blow your mind. But I'll tell you right now that you go deep, man. Do this. People want to do the steps. I've been through the steps several times, and I found out that the steps for me can be a mind fuck. Okay. So I had to be careful. So that's when I got into changing shit around to make it suit me, And that's when I got deeper into it, where it doesn't become circular, where there's no end to it.
Yeah.
And see, I'm big into secular recovery. Okay, I'm big into the agnostic, atheist, secular AA. Secular AA is huge. It's giant. Like 1978, it started. Okay, people don't even realize it. Let's just say eventually all the big book thumpers, counting myself, when we're going to be dead, and the new generation is going to push this thing into a whole new direction, and it's going to go secular. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but there's going to be a choice. There could be a religious movement. You want to go into the religious aspect of it. You want to go into the spiritual aspect of it, secular aspect. I don't care what aspect you can go to. But for me, the labels can hurt me in defining myself, because particular people put those labels into a box that they're only aware of that information from that box. So I watch that stuff. Did I help you there? Go a little heavier. You want to ask a little deeper? You want to go ask a little deeper?
We can go as deep as you're willing to go, man.
Well, you asked the questions.
Yeah, man. Really, get into the nitty gritty. Like, how important is it, to really believe in a personalized recovery, and what works for you, and being able to, like you said, evolve and change and ask those hard questions and really make the program suit you, instead of you changing everything to suit a program.
Me changing everything to suit... Oh, you mean me changing me to suit them? Yeah. Yeah, I stopped doing that. See, I took all the shit. I found out that, I'm just going to come out and say it. They rewrote the 12 steps a long time ago. I mean, these things been rewritten a long time ago. See, I don't codify things anymore. Codifying means numbering. I don't number stuff anymore. I don't have to number shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't have to look. My primary purpose. I define my primary purpose today. I'm not letting society. I am not giving my will and my life over to any society. Okay? Because that's a hijack. I'm giving my life and will over to a society. That's not freedom. Okay?
Yeah.
They say the program's free. Well, let me tell you something. It's not. Okay? So be careful. I'm telling people to be careful. The only reason why I say that to other people, and people would say, well, mind your own damn business. It's only your opinion. Guess what? This whole program is made up in opinions. As Bill sees it, that's all his shit, opinions. Okay? Dr. Bob, I can get in so deep where the word and the disease came from. Okay? And maybe I could fly out there and we could do a little podcast on it, because no one wants to talk about that.
I'd love to.
No one wants to talk about the disease, or they don't want to talk about the alcohol industry. No, let's leave that alone, because you might be breaking traditions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go too deep with that, because that's my opinion. But I believe in opinions. I believe we all have them, and I want to hear them. I want to hear your opinion.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, guys.
All right. What else you got, Eric?
I'm just thinking now, because you brought up kind of. All right, so
I know there's so many threads to pull on right now.
I know. Oh man, that kind of threw me for a loop. Let's go kind of like I'll just do a layup right now while I think about the other ones. So
Okay.
I just recently worked through the Smart Recovery book. I think it's a really cool piece of literature. I think it's a cool program. I'd never worked it before, so it was definitely something very very cool. It's something I've been interested in for a long time. And you said that you're a facilitator. So
Right.
I guess for people who don't know what that means, could you kind of go into a little bit of detail of what a facilitator is, and then also what, it is a form of service, but kind of describe how that bit of service helps your recovery.
Oh, well, it gives, smart recovery, secular recovery, Dharma recovery has given me, I have a passion. My passion is what I'm doing right now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You guys without you two, I don't have a fire. Yous are lighting me on fire. Okay? I have nothing without you two. Okay? I'm lost without you two. All right?
Oh.
So my passion is, look, I want to help people. And traditional AA, I can hardly go back to traditional AA anymore. People love to put guilt and shame on me because of that, but I know it's bullshit.
Yep.
I know the guilt and shame is just coming from their ignorance. That's all. It's coming from a lack of open-mindedness. My question would be to the guy with some time: go out and experiment these things. Give these things a try. Getting back to SMART. SMART is self-empowering. It's a self-management and recovery training. But it gives me the ability to help another human being. I had to pay to be a facilitator. I had to pay money to take these courses and do this shit. Now, I don't like that. I can get into that, too. I can get into all the structure and the pyramid structure of all these programs. And that's another whole subject, okay?
Yeah.
But the thing is that this thing works, okay, for people that get so turned off with AA, they can't go there. They'll die if they didn't have alternatives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay? So these programs, it teaches you rational, logical, I'm going to even use the words. It's like rational, logical, spiritual, universal intelligence all in one. Okay? Because it's helping me, but I have a chance to help somebody else, And it's lighting me on, these people, when they're at the meeting, they light me on fire. Okay? What do I get out of it? I'm getting out more than some of them are getting out of it. Okay? People may say, oh, it's out of your ego. Let me tell you something. It's not out of my ego. It's out of my life. I love, I said, this is a passion of mine. I love doing this, And recovery, SMART, get into it, but don't get into it so seriously. Wear it like a loose garment, like they talk about. Do it, but don't be so rigid. Don't be so. It's almost like the AA. I can't make it like I want to make it like AA. I'll tell you what I'm trying to do in SMART and in Recovery Dharma. This is my goal until I die. Is to make the community more like the AA community, because the AA community is tight-knitted. It's over 80 years old. SMART's like 25 years old, but it still hasn't evolved. Okay, it's starting to catch on big now with the Zoom and all the other meetings and stuff like that. It's starting to catch on now, but this is what it's lacking. It's lacking a connectiveness with personal relationships outside of the meeting, because it tells you, it kind of disencourages you to do that. But guess what? They're not going to control me, just like I don't let AA control me. So I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it something where what they're lacking, I want to put into it. I'm going to figure out how to put it into it. And you start little email addresses. Whoever wants to get in on it. But you know how AA does all the names, the list, and everything of the meeting members. Your home group. Well, they tend not to do that, but I'm going to start doing it. And I have started doing it already. I have. So it has to be like made more like a loving community.
Absolutely.
And that's the only downside I see. But hey, Eric's getting into it. Get into it, brother.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I'm actually gonna be, as far as like involved, from like a fellowship perspective. So I'll be honest with you, right? Like I have not. I came up, and we've talked about this on the podcast. I came up through NA, and just like you with AA, I struggled, man. Like it was hard to fall in line with the, some of the dogmatic concepts and constructs that came through, and I have a tendency to push back. So, I mean, right now it's a little bit more kind of like out, like on, going by the side of the hip, just whatever. I'm going to be looking into like different fellowships, different things, just kind of, my recovery is very like loose. You know what I mean? Like I don't try to be rigid with it, because I don't want. Good. I don't see a point in being confined to one single ideology. I mean, why? Like, why? Because okay, so we have friends, David and I, and you kind of described this as well.
That's it.
Where well, we're going further. So we kind of described this as well, where and I don't get it as much as you, David, anymore, but I used to, where I haven't had a home group for a while. I still have a sponsor, but we don't talk very often. I've worked the steps, but I haven't worked them in a while. But it's kind of like, oh, you're not doing the A, B, and C of this fellowship. I mean, you're surely not going to make it.
I get guilt tripped all the time.
Exactly. So I mean, what?
Yep.
So Bobby, what would you say to someone who says, that if you're not doing the A, B, and C of insert fellowship, so you're just gonna relapse? I mean, what do you say to that? Like to a person who's feeling that? Like I know what I would say. That we each have our own individual way, and we have to find our own path. But what do you say to that person who's kind of struggling with, they only know about AA or they only know about NA, and they're saying, well, if you don't work the steps, you're gonna die. That sort of shit. What do you say to a person like that to kind of give them like a little bit of hope?
Well, first of all, it's bullshit, okay? Because there's people that work the steps, do the big book, got a sponsor, do everything, and they go out and drink. There's people that don't do the steps, don't do the big book, don't have a sponsor, and stay sober, okay? So that's not a guide. That's a false statistic. It's not real, okay? So all it is I say, screw guilt. Guilt is bullshit. Guilt and shame is made up of the program. The program is all about guilt and shame. Okay, so be careful. And I'll tell you what, I'll encourage people to be rebels. It says don't be rebellious. Be rebellious in a good way. Rebellion makes you question. It makes you think. It allows you to become. Here's what I want to tell people. If you want to really be clean and sober, you're going to do it. I don't care where you go. It's not the program. This is where I got to get into people's. It's not the program. It's you. It's not the program. It's not the teacher. It's you. If you're going to blame somebody, blame yourself, not anything else. Because I used to see, I went to thousands and thousands of meetings. People come in. Oh, why did you drink? Oh, I didn't do step 4. Why did you drink? Oh, I didn't get a sponsor. Why did you drink? Oh, I didn't do step 10 properly. Bullshit. You drank because it was more important to you than staying sober. Okay, that comes down to that's kind of like, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's all they know. They wanted to drink more than they wanted to stay sober. I mean, I'm not down on them. No big deal. Hey, I went through it all my life. You know how many times I wanted to quit? Okay, I promised I was going to quit, and then I drank. I promised I was going to quit. What's the difference if you're in a friggin' program or not? There's people that went to 10 rehabs. And they come out, and then one day they want it. They go into AA, and they think AA was the cure. No, you were the cure. You were the one that made the decision to stay in and look at all that crap and do all that crap. It was you, So you're doing good. You know what? Let me tell you something. You two guys, what you're doing right now, this is where the magic happens? Is the meeting before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting is the magic. And what you guys are doing, you can't drink and drug doing what you're doing. It's impossible. It's impossible. So you're doing everything you need to do perfectly at this time in this moment, and it's all good.
That brings me to my question. You're talking about that. You're talking about the human connection, and not just like addict to addict or person to person, but also the human connection of oneself. So my question is, it's kind of a two-parter. Like, how important is it for anybody in recovery to find that person that you truly connect to and relate to on a deep level, like the Lonnie or the bricklayer Al, or like me and Eric, like anybody? And then how important is it to become open-minded, vulnerable, and honest with that person on that deep level?
Well, first of all, it just happens, like a Lonnie or an Eric. You're Eric, and when you and Eric, or Dave, Eric, you and Dave came in together, it just happened, and you wouldn't be together if you didn't have some like-mindedness. You wouldn't be together. Okay, so it's kind of like a natural desire that we have to be validated on our level of consciousness. Okay, so, and I'm attracted to people that can stimulate me in a loving, caring, like-minded kind of way, and that's what you guys are doing. Your podcast is, I'm surprised you don't. I think we should get together. Don't be afraid to put this podcast into the net, YouTube, because let me tell you something. There's people that are afraid to hear the truth, and they won't even air this because they're afraid what other people are going to tell them by even airing it.
Oh, I mean,
you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's people, who I know certain people will not like certain parts of this podcast, but I mean that's okay, right? Like, I mean, that's totally fine. The one thing that I always try to remind people is that it's about respecting each other's opinions, and I've gotten a lot of shit for not like. A lot of people think I don't like believe in God, and that's not true. I haven't met the dude, so I'm not really quite sure. I mean, like, I believe in like.
You didn't smoke enough DMT, Eric. That's what you didn't do.
But like, I do have like some sort of belief. Like, I have a belief in like energy, and like I just don't have like a certain like real concept of what the fuck that is. And if someone. If I respect you enough to believe, like, to let you believe what you want to believe in, you should respect me enough to let me believe in what I want to believe in. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how you get clean. Like, you can talk to Jesus for all I care. If it works for you, that's all that really matters. Because I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know. My sponsor and I were talking about this the other day, guys, and I used to be a big like. David knows this when we were in meetings where I would kind of start shit sometimes, like from like in, about like about God or about different parts of traditions, and like I would just be on the other side of like whatever the popular opinion was, just to kind of be like, there's a different way. And now I'm just like, I don't really care, man. I can leave, but it's good to know that like it's good for people to know that there is another way. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the important thing, man.
Exactly.
There's, like, just because you walked into this one meeting, it doesn't mean it's the only type of meeting.
Yeah. It's not the only meeting.
Your opinion matters. I'm telling you. Listen, it's for that. See, let me tell you something about minority. AA is controlled by minorities, not majorities. Okay? The minority of people that control a meeting are the ones that set the agenda and the tone. the majority think kind of alike, but they're afraid. Courage, man. Have the courage and strength to say what you mean, because there's another person that wants to hear that shit. See, by you not posting this, and you, like, no, I'm not saying you're going to do it, but if you don't post this and you say, "Oh, I can't do it because I gotta worry about somebody else, what they may think or say," what you're doing is denying somebody that needs to hear this to stay alive.
Oh, exactly.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I would always do whenever I would share is, people would be like, "Well, that's not really the message of this program," and I'm like, "Well, did I help one person?" Because I'm not, I'm not necessarily trying to help you. I'm just trying to help, like, my message, my story. Did it help one person? Because maybe your message isn't going to help me.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
what's the only requirement for membership? The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So if nothing else goes beyond that, if that's true, you can say whatever you want to say. They can't kick you out of a meeting.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Eric, is it about that time?
Yeah, let me, go ahead. Go ahead, David.
All right. It is about that time, ladies and gentlemen, for us to pull a question from one of our adoring fans from the Twitter.
Damn, David, you're really going at it this time, aren't you? Like,
I'm digging in.
You're
man.
in, yeah. You're all in.
Yep.
There's a lot here. Let's see. I've been saving this one, but I don't feel like it's the right time for that one. Let's talk about what's going on right now, guys.
Oh yeah.
So this is from Major, or at MajorDog524. So the way that we we'll do this is, Bobby, you'll answer it first, then David, then myself. But how do you stay clean in this state of emergency? And what coping skills and resources are you using?
Okay, for me, I'm doing it right this moment. Because that's all I have is the now. I believe in the power of now. Eckhart Tolle is the power of now, the new earth. I buy into that stuff because I believe experience is we all have experience. My experience is good and bad, my 36 years of experience, but we all have the same time, which is right now. So you have to stay in the present, try to. I'm not saying you have to, because you can't, it's impossible. So I have to stay in the present moment, I have to, what I have to do is different than maybe what somebody else has to do anyhow, because there's time in, your recovery. But I have to always use these, I have to go to the positive side. It's the only good thing I got, because I can go to the negative side. Alcoholics and drug addicts, we love drama, we love criticism, we love negativity, we eat that shit up like it's candy, So you open up a book, a spiritual book, a regular book, you distract that mind, because my brain has a mind of itself. It has a mind of its own, and it always moves. So you have to distract that mind and move it around. That mind isn't us. We think it is, but it's really not. But we have to distract it. So I would say distraction is a big deal, in any way, any form.
All right. How am I staying clean amidst this crisis? There are 1.5 million things that I'm doing in my recovery. My wife. My wife is a great way I'm staying clean through this, through the coronavirus epidemic, and texting my friends. Just like you said, it's not like, I don't think it's so much distraction as just constant action. And that's just been throughout my recovery. So it's not just the microcosm of the last month, because it's always been constant action. It's been talking to different people. It's been reading books. It's been working on art projects. spending time with my wife, going on walks, making her dinner, working out. Like there's a million different things, and it's not going to change once these like stay-at-home orders lift. Those things aren't going to change. They never have changed. Like it's always been the same thing. It's just now I'm spending more time at home. Can I go to a meeting and get hugs from all my normal people? No, but that's life. It's a little bit different. And my sponsor has always preached self-sufficiency in my recovery, because there's going to be times when you can't get a hold of somebody. Like you're driving across the country by yourself and your cell phone breaks. What are you going to do? Oh no, I'm out of contact with anybody. Oh, might as well drink and drug. No, that's not the fucking case. Take a nap. Go look at the stars. Go meditate in the woods. Like, do it. There's a million and a fucking half things you can do. Write, read, play video games. Like, just keep yourself active. Just live life. Because when I was drinking and drugging, I wasn't living life. I was running away from it. I was hiding from it. I was numbing it out. But when I finally got clean and took some of that power back, I now had the power to do all those things that I never wanted to do before. So just keep living your life to the best of your ability every day. Do the little things, appreciate the little things, and don't trip on anything too hard, and keep it moving.
Beautiful. That's exactly, yeah. I love it. What
about you, Eric?
So I've said this to David a few times, actually. Besides traveling,
this has changed nothing for Eric.
There's really not much has changed for me, guys. I work primarily from home. I don't go out much. And so a lot of this, as far as staying, I'm pretty used to like what I am doing right now. We do a few of these. We do about a minimum of 2 to 6 podcasts a week. So we get a lot of meetings.
Wow.
We're getting a lot of meetings.
So wow. I get more meetings in doing this than I do, with a fellowship. So it's like, that's my coping skills, is I stay connected. And one of the things, and right now, I'm taking on some new responsibilities at work. So I'm a little bit scattered, but one of the things that I try to do is challenge my recovery now. I realized I wasn't challenging myself enough in the past. So, picking up that new book, learning this, like a new breathing technique, trying to meditate a few minutes every day. It's not going to happen by osmosis. We got to actually do some action. And I hate to say this, I'll bring up an example of, I used to have a home group. It was a noon meeting. And I can't tell you how many times I heard people say, I really need to get a job, so I'm just going to keep praying for it. And I even have asked people, I was like, have you applied for a job? And they're like, no, but God will take care of it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you have to apply for the job. Like, it's about action. Right. I mean, we can't keep, hoping and wishing is only going to get us so far. Unless you actually do something about, to change your life and to change the situation that you find yourself in. A lot, I've learned a lot of things through watching people, especially with people at work who are used to going into an office. What's hard, even with normal people, because this isn't just addicts, I don't like to say normal, but other people who aren't working a program. It's hard for everyone, because this is a new normal. And probably by the time this podcast, or hopefully by the time this podcast is released, we are back to some sense of normalcy. But I think with coping skills is kind of understanding that we can deal with a lot more than we think we can, and that we're stronger than we know we are, and that the answer to what we're seeking is within, so we just need to look for it.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yes, I agree, 100%. Yeah.
All right.
You know that serenity prayer. I take out the words, and I could say to myself, I'm talking to myself, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I don't think Eric or myself have said God in the serenity prayer in a long time.
And actually, one of my favorite prayers is the third step prayer. I don't use God in the beginning of it, but I do think it's a pretty good mantra.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like take my will in my life, guide me in my serenity, and show me how to live. I just say that to myself.
Cool. Yep. Where there's discord, let me sow harmony. I mean, there's some, all this stuff is borrowed from ancient practices anyhow. So it's all, it's not really that. A lot of this stuff is, most of this stuff, all of it is just borrowed philosophy, wisdom, and knowledge.
Recycled spirituality.
I love it. You guys made my day. You guys made my day.
Likewise, man.
Yeah, man.
Likewise, brother. I appreciate it. But we're running out of time, so we'd like to give you one quick minute to talk to anybody listening out there who's struggling, needs to hear that message of hope to find their way through another day. What do you have to say to that person?
Well, I just have to say that if you put down the drink and the drug, you got a shot. If you don't drink or drug, you got a shot of everything beautiful to come. And some of it's going to be crappy, some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be fun, some of it's not going to be fun, but it's going to be way better than if you didn't.
Yep.
And I'll keep it that simple.
And
perfect.
And Bobby, you have a YouTube channel, right? And some stuff online.
No. I'm going to create I keep on wanting to create my YouTube channel. I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
Anonymous Addiction on Twitter, and but I'll be starting a YouTube channel up as soon as I find out how to do it. I'm a computer illiterate, and I'm an old guy, so I don't know. Maybe one of you guys could help me out one day.
Eric can.
Yeah, it would be me.
Yeah.
It would definitely be me.
Definitely be Eric. All right. Well, we'd like to thank our guest Bobby for joining us today.
Woo! Yeah!
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Bobby.
David O, Eric V, and Bobby C.
Here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Go to our Twitter, go to our Facebook, go to our Instagram, like, share, subscribe, and if you need any more information, podcastrecovery.com has it for you. But most importantly, everybody out there, stay safe and stay clean.